Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Collegiate iRacing Series Prospect Series on the oval side. We are here at Homestead Miami Speedway tonight for our series finale, race 6 of the season taking place at this wonderful track. Uh, Current track conditions are looking pretty nice for the racers tonight. Pretty cool here in the evening. Current track temperature is about, here, get that. Yep, current track temperature about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Current humidity 88, partly cloudy skies. 2 miles per hour on the wind. Should be some grippy tracks tonight for these racers. But I'm Matthew Nordberg. I'm joined in the booth here with Joshua Crane and a newcomer to the booth tonight, Lucas Santos, joining us. Josh, what are you looking forward to tonight?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to a little bit of racing, a little bit more confidence from these drivers as in the middle of summer. It's pretty hot, but we've taken time out of our busy schedule to push our start time back to the evening here at Homestead, and that track no longer 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and it might even drop down to 80 towards the end of the night as that heat is only going to escape from that racing surface as we go further on. And so that's going to be something that we have gotten a lot of comments on, and we can understand that every driver loves to have the maximum grip on a cool fall or spring day. It's been hot all summer, but I think that I'm really looking forward to the confidence from these drivers as they experience a little bit more grip at this racy Homestead surface.
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. As our racers get ready to go into our qualifying session, Lucas, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what to expect out of the track tonight, grip wise, maybe how these cars are going to handle?
Yeah, so Homestead being the way it is, and my experience running, Indy cars and NASCAR trucks around here, I've noticed that there's going to be multiple lines, and I think going up to qualifying, you're going to see some of these drivers take that high line first, build up some of that momentum, and make sure those heat is properly into those four sets of tires. Like we see Jonathan Appleton coming out here, he's probably going to be running that high line and building up that grip. But as soon as they start getting towards those fast laps and building that confidence, as you say, Josh, then they're gonna go to that bottom line and start racing hard towards there and making sure that they can cut the track distance much tighter. But then, when we start going in properly into the race, you'll see some drivers start getting into that middle line, some people staying into that high line, just trying to preserve those tires to make sure that they can make those stints last as long as possible. So, probably from this race, we're going to see a lot of, as I said before, just lots of lines. But I think it's going to make really interesting strategies for these drivers.
That makes sense, Lucas. I mean, we have seen traditionally a lot of changes in lines over the runs and over drivers. Some drivers prefer that middle up top, and we can see right now Jonathan Appleton is on his qualifying run for University of Alabama at Huntsville, and he's going straight to the bottom. So he's decided on that cool, grippy rubber. He wants to start there at the bottom and see if he can start by taking the short way around this track. But I'll tell you what, that UAH crew chief right now atop the standings, Matthew Tucker with a 33.33, a little bit of threes in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Matthew Tucker putting in the benchmark time for everyone to beat, currently about 2/10 quicker than anyone else on the field right now. That's definitely going to be a benchmark time to beat for these drivers. But I definitely think their first lap times might probably going to be the slowest out of the bunch as they come around here and try to get a lot of heat in their tires, build up that grip. As we see Jordan Ricky out of the University of Alabama at Huntsville go to the top of the table with a 33.26.
That's right, working through now. You can see Nathan Brungett from the University of Lynchburg. Probably Joe Hutzler, also from Lynchburg, up spotting that car, the 64. Nathan being able to come out. He has put together a fairly good season and consistent results. A little bit of trouble at Bristol Motor Speedway, not the only one in that bunch, but looking to highlight really that team and the University of Lynchburg to end this season on a strong note. And as he comes across the line about mid-pack, he'll have maybe one or two more chances to put that car a little bit up front. And so going to be a car to watch tonight is that Chevrolet Camaro from the University of Lynchburg.
Yeah, Josh, I think you mentioned it. I think a lot of these drivers are going to be trying to rebound after a rough race at Bristol Motor Speedway. That track is definitely a place that can bite you if you're not careful. Nowhere to go if incidents happen. And after driving there myself in the Premier Series, I think it was definitely a relieving experience to see that checker flag and hop out of the car knowing that you come out with a clean car or some good points. But we see the top 9 drivers right now, all currently spread by about 2/10, 3/10 of a second, maybe. It's going to be a tight field tonight for the race here, Josh.
That's correct. On a 33-second lap, all those times are pretty close together and would be a little bit further close together as we got down. And this track carries a lot of draft. And so in the race, I think that we can expect some pretty good racing between these cars. You saw Trevor Rizzo making a CiL debut in the University of Clemson machine. And you can see right there Thomas Toomey in that Virginia paint. So Trevor Rizzo from Clemson trying to get that car up to the front, newest member of the Orange Wheel Racing Gang, and we'll see how those teams get on along tonight and how this race changes throughout the course of the night. That is probably the biggest learning here in the Prospect Series is not simply just the racecraft, that is important, but what the cars do and how the environment, Lucas, how the environment changes over the course of a race. You touched on it, and I think that's going to be the biggest hurdle and the biggest thing to watch tonight in the Prospect Series here at Homestead.
Yeah, I mean, speaking more on just the environment of this place, of course, we're going to be driving in the night, as you can tell, but that still doesn't mean that you're probably going to get really high temperatures in those tires, and add that with the draft, and you're probably going to have a really weird car to handle. So probably, going through some of these in-car onboards, maybe if we get the chance to, you'll see some of these drivers maybe sawing at the wheel, trying to deal with the amount of grip that they're currently having. As you can see, there's just that slight little bit of movement with Thomas Twomley, or sorry, I just completely butchered that name. But yeah, you can see some of that little bit of sawing at the wheel, just trying to let that rear handle as they'd like it to be.
Yeah, and Toomey being able to go through there. You can see up in the corner, Homestead allows the cars to come up off that corner, that white line, pretty quickly and come up near that wall. And so you'll see a lot of cars that drift out and carry that momentum up to the wall as quickly as they can. But I think that's going to be a theme that drivers trying to conserve their equipment, save momentum. The other big key that we saw drivers communicating and talking about was that the setup for this race tends to be a little bit tricky until those pressures get built up. So cold tires or low tire pressures, the car not as predictable for the first couple laps. So it'll play in here when the green flag drops, and on subsequent restarts, these drivers will have to be on their game as the cars around them are all moving around just a little bit.
Yeah, Josh, I think you mentioned a key point about getting up towards that wall really early on corner exit. Homestead Miami is known for being able to kind of run that super high line and wall ride. I think Tyler Reddick is one of the Cup Series drivers in real life who is well known for really taking advantage of that speed you can carry around the very top line on this track. And I think it's going to be interesting if we see any drivers tonight actually, brave it out and see can they, stick it on the wall and ride that wall all the way around and carry the speed onto the straightaways.
Yeah, I think that will be. And Homestead Miami actually made its way into the first season of CiL Oval, being able, when iRacing refreshed a little bit of how they controlled the air, the wall, and allowed drivers to get right up next to that wall. And it has been really exciting and generated some good racing for both drivers, fans, and everybody who likes that. But key point here, I think that going back to the scoring tower on the left, Matt, it's Thomas Toomey atop right now with a 33.04, and then Andrew Burrell, the 88 car from Clemson University, followed by Alabama at Huntsville's Jordan Rickey, and 33.18 and a 33.26. Guys, that's just a little slip or maybe a little bit of a difference in line getting into or out of one of these corners. There's really not much separating the top of this qualifying tower right now.
Yeah, I think at the top of this field, I think things are a bit spread out. But I think look at that mid pack, really from third back to eighth or ninth. You got Tucker 33, 3-1, 3-5, 3-5, 3-5. That middle pack, all within a hundredth of a second of each other. So I think we're going to see some really good racing throughout the field tonight, and I think it's going to be interesting at the front of the field. Who's going to be playing the tire conservation game? Who thinks we're going to have long green flag runs where maybe they'll have to make a green flag pit stop? Who's ready to to do that. And it's a tricky, high banks in turns 3 and 4. You got to get down to the flat apron super quick. So I think this race has the potential to be won or lost on pit road tonight.
And what I'm thinking in terms of just trying to predict what these drivers might do in terms of strategy and possibly going down through pit lane, I think in my eyes they might be able to do probably 1 or 2 laps just driving on that low line, and then instantly probably might think, okay, now time to conserve what I have. Probably pushed it as far as that I need, or possibly could even go further. And then they're gonna start, trying to see if they can conserve those tires for, like what you said, those long green flag runs to just make it towards the end. And then once they get that yellow flag, if any happens today, hopefully get those free pit stops and get those tire strats working again.
Yeah, and strategy is going to be key. I think that we saw in the notebook today about 25 lap run had about 1.5 seconds of tire degradation, tire fall off. So it's going to be really clear who is overheating their tires and who is using their tires up. Also means there's going to be a lot of marbles on the track outside the racing lines. So it's going to be really important for these drivers to be cognizant, not only in the beginning of the race, but the middle and the end, and understand that they have to get their cars to the end and take care of equipment. And then naturally we'll also get to see if there's a little bit of excitement for a green-white checkered at the end, or if drivers choose to stay out or come in and get a set of tires there. So a lot of strategy going on, and these crew chiefs, I think, are going to be working overtime, as Homestead is one of the racier tracks that we go to.
Yeah, Homestead, definitely an iconic track. I think it's very unique in its almost paperclip-like shape. You don't see very many high-banked 1.5-mile tracks of this size. Obviously, Dover, 1-mile track, high banks, concrete, but it's got higher banking. It's only 1 mile, concrete, completely different racing compared to something like Homestead, normal asphalt track material. You got 1.5 miles, so you kind of have a bit more room to spread out. It's definitely going to be a track that rewards the drivers who can nurse their tires. Like you said, tire fall off over, you said, I believe 15, 20 laps is something in the range of 1.5. So at the 10th per lap on average. So I think the drivers who can carry the speed and keep that tire wear under control tonight are going to be the ones who are definitely going to benefit and profit from this type of racetrack.
I think that's true. And on your screen right there, you can see the champion of this year's Prospect Oval Series here in CiL clinched it at Bristol last week. That is Binghamton University's Alex Hallinar. Binghamton University able to bring home that trophy and to do a really good job. The Legends car driver Alex with a lot of pace in that machine all season long, really. And you'll see him certainly every Tuesday night and tomorrow night as well, racing here with the Premier Series. But congratulations to Alex for getting the job done all season long in the Prospect Series and taking home that esteemed PDF.
No, yeah, you said it. I think Alex Hallinar has shown consistency all year, and even when, sometimes things didn't go his way, I think most evidently at Richmond earlier this season, his strategies just didn't work out for him because, just completely blew out a right front tire at Richmond trying to go 60 odd laps on a single set. I think he has been consistent otherwise. I think places like Bristol, places like Auto Club, where I think he really maximized some of his championship rivals having bad nights or bad races, getting into incidents. Hallinar definitely was one of the drivers who I've seen be the most consistent, not only through the Prospect Series on Monday night, but also on the Premier Series and Tuesday nights. I think Hallinar has done a great job of transitioning his results from Mondays into Tuesdays, and I'm looking forward to seeing him race more on Tuesdays in the coming seasons.
I think so. And Lucas, as far as this race, 75 laps here at Homestead, Miami, and as we go through, do you think about a 12-car field? Do you think that we're going to have more, yellows and Xfinity at the start of this race, or do you expect some longer green flag runs to make up the majority of this event?
Well, due to I'm thinking about my past history at this place, and also thinking about the sides of fields that I've been in, particularly for oval racing as well. I'm thinking with probably about 12 drivers, we're gonna see probably longer green flag runs, and that's just less people per se. So therefore, there's gonna be kind of less points of contact. But throughout the race, I think when people try and get desperate to get positions, then we're gonna see probably a few more yellow flags.
Yeah, Lucas, you make a great point as our drivers start the gridding process for tonight's race. Here is the starting lineup for your Prospect Series race tonight at Homestead Miami Speedway. Thomas Toomey out of the University of Virginia takes the pole position with a 33.048 time. On his outside is Andrew Burrell out of Clemson University in that 88 machine. Behind him, Jordan Rickey out of the University of Alabama at Huntsville, followed by Matthew Tucker on the outside of row 2 out of Jacksonville State. Alex Hallinar, our Prospect Series champion, starting in 5th position tonight, has some work to do to catch Thomas Toomey in the front. On his outside, Ethan Head out of the University of Tennessee, a Prospect Series regular. Nathan Brungett and Cody Fadenhauer round out your row 4. Jonathan Appleton, newcomer to the series, has Scott Ratliff, an old veteran, on his outside in row 5. Trevor Rizzo, also another newcomer to the series out of Clemson University, and Alexander Hogarth round out row 6. That should do it for our drivers tonight. Just 12 drivers in the field. A pretty good show out. Lucas, you were talking about it earlier before the grid showed up. This race is going to be an exciting one, and I think these drivers definitely have a lot on their plate to deal with tonight.
Like definitely, and just it's going to be kind of that mentality game that we're probably going to see as I said before, that probably towards at the end of the race we're going to see a bit more desperateness out of these drivers, just trying to make up positions and see whatever card that they've set up with towards the end of the race is going to make them go towards that front of the field, or if we're going to see one magical drive from a driver in the back go all the way to the front, if that happens.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of drivers starting from the back, it does look like we have a few drivers starting in the pits tonight. I think it looks like Thomas Toomey and Alex Hallinar, they missed the gridding for the race, so it looks like they will be starting from the pits. Those drivers were in positions 1 and 5 respectively, but both of them have a lot of speed in their race cars, and I wouldn't be surprised if a caution brought them back into it, or if they a strategy decision here, knowing how difficult this car is to handle on new tires that aren't quite up to pressure yet. So. Currently, pace car leading the field of green right now. Currently on the pole, Jordan Rickey, he's leading the field of green right now in the 92 machine. He gets an early jump, and the race is green. Looks like Andrew Burrell is caught sleeping on the outside as they head down into turn 1. That inside line, just a great start. It looks like Jordan Rickey's going to take the lead into turn 1, but behind him, Nathan Brungett out of the University of Lynchburg, and behind him, Matthew Tucker and Andrew Burrell are fighting it out through turn 2 for that 3rd position.
That's right. Alabama, Huntsville, and Lynchburg raced down in the corners. Matthew Tucker did capture for Jacksonville State that 3rd position, but you can see, even as they go down in the corner, they have that 88 machine. Lots of lines right there and closing up mid-corner, but yeah, Jacksonville State going to get that run off, and Andrew Burrell probably is going to put that in his notebook that, didn't need to be so aggressive through the center of that corner there. That's not going to save our tires, but these drivers are flying through these situations now, and you can see actually the University of Lynchburg up a little bit taller in that line right there. And coming through now, you can see the University of Virginia's Thomas Toomey there and Alex Hallinar. So those two drivers might be working on their own experiments. You'll see them Tuesday night, tomorrow night. And it looks like we have a pass, actually. Jacksonville State University trying to get to the inside of Lynchburg. Can they make that stick? The Chevrolet Camaro down to the inside, and he's going to have some grip there, but the speed is going to belong to the 64 off of this corner, and actually a little bit loose. I take that back, and the 64 in the wall, and the 88 from Clemson University trying to get down. So your 2nd position is going to be Matthew Tucker from Jacksonville State University, and Andrew Burrell is going to try, Lucas, to hold that line down on the bottom for those Clemson Tigers.
Yeah, and directly what I've been saying is that we're already seeing these multiple lines directly from the start. We're seeing that the 84 and our previous poll already working that high line, and now they're actually taking notes from the 777 and the 88 saying that, hey, they're already working that low line, they're moving up positions, so might as well take a leaf from their notebook and try that out for probably 1 or 2 laps, and then probably start saving those tires once again.
Yeah, and a little bit of leadership here, no pun intended, but Matthew Tucker and Jordan Rickey and that UAH crew, known to have a pretty good relation. Spots for that crew on Tuesday night. Matthew Tucker does actually for Ryan Whitlock on Tuesday nights, and so I assumed that Matthew Tucker would be showing a little bit to the young rookie in that 92 machine, Jordan Ricci, and doing a good job trying to get. Best thing those two can do is get out to a lead and get out of this mess behind. But right now, you can see Andrew Burrell continuing to work that low line.
Yeah, Burrell's doing a great job of shortening that track and taking the shortest line possible around the track. But Jordan Ricci holding that higher line, he's going to have all the momentum running down those back straight, the front and the back straightaway. And it looks like if Burrell isn't careful, he's going to have a little bit of a challenge from Nathan Brunga to his outside. But gets a good exit off of turn 2, and he's going to be side by side with Jordan Ricci going down in turn 3. Really trying to take advantage of that low line. I think Ethan Head out of the University of Tennessee behind him is noticing that and is thinking, well, if he's going to go forward, I'm going to go forward with him.
Yeah, I think so.
Matthew Tuck. Oh, sorry.
Those drivers working really hard side by side to contain their tires as much as they can. And up there, Burrell says no. And the University of Lynchburg going to have to cross it over and get down. But 88 still going to have an opportunity on the high side. It's a drag race down the backstretch. Clemson on the outside. The University of Lynchburg down on the inside. And this time they're going to change roles. The 64 traditionally has enjoyed that high side, but it is occupied for the time being, and a little bit of draft is going to help this 88 car up off the corner. You can see right there, door, quarter, not quite clear, but there is such a run, Lucas, off the top of that corner.
Yeah, and with that top line, as the 64 comes just a bit tight, I'm basically seeing right here that you can carry the momentum as you're driving around that outside line, but with the inside, you're just cutting a bit that more distance. But gladly seeing Andrew Burrell trying to work that high line and make sure that not only will his strategy work, but he's also slightly defending that 64, as really when you're wanting to get that inside line, you want to come out and kind of wash out towards that outside line, and basically Andrew Burrell's right there.
He is, and a couple other players right there. That is the University of Tennessee, the Volunteers, Ethan Head up on the outside, and actually Pittsburgh University, Scott Ratliff, the veteran in that 747, going to put his Ford Mustang up in play and is going to try and set his sights just to the inside of that 64 car. And you can see that Brunget really decided he enjoyed that high side as he went there. But these drivers are really close together and going to try and battle this out as we work back to lap 11 now of 75. So these drivers still a little bit early, but you wouldn't know it by the way they're racing, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it looks like Brunget gets a massive run out of turn 2. I don't know if 88 got loose, but looks like Scott Ratliff also got a massive run coming out. They're going to be 3 wide going into turn 3 potentially, but looks like Brunget is going to back out of it. He's going to be the odd man out, but these guys are just racing side by side, lap after lap, and I think the battling is really hurting their tires, because I think Scott Ratliff here has been sitting back, watching everything, conserving his tires, and he's kind of pouncing at the opportunity, seeing, well, these guys are burning their tires up. I'll save mine, wait a few laps, and then eventually I'll pass them all with ease. But knowing these guys, it's never going to be easy passes. Scott Ratliff on the bottom. Oh, they wreck behind Brunget and Burrell. They crash into the outside wall on turn 2, but no caution yet. Scott Ratliff continues to lead, and they're going to hit an outside wall on turn 3. Big crash. Catches Cody Fadenhauer up. Looks like Tom Toomey just scraped by as we see cars come flying by. But that's going to be our first caution of the night. Andrew Burrell and Nathan Brunget, just 2 cars into one, don't go. And we're going to see a replay of that here shortly.
It did. It did not quite fit for those guys, and I thought that the 88 here on the edge of the corners, they came off. This was actually, that was the follow-up as they went down to the corner. Those cars never really got settled. They were a handful all the way down into turn 3, and once they arrived, it was the end, I think, of that sequence. But, yeah, coming out of the corner, you can see right there. I think the 88 knew he had the car of Nathan Brunget high. Didn't have the ability to cross up. In fact, yes, 64 maybe coming off the wall just a little bit. But, yeah, with the 88 having a car high and low, and Scott Ratliff, I think that he had to back out, and those two just came together. Didn't take long at all. Actually, on pit road, it looks like a little bit of trouble for Matthew Tucker, who was trying to come in. The race leader having some issues on pit road. But as we sort through the pit sequences now, yeah, it was turned around just a little bit, and it's going to try and get back underway, and he has done so. But a couple of these drivers are going to use their faster pairs and get everybody set up and back to go. And so, yeah, very, very difficult sequence here for a couple of these teams.
Yeah, we'll get a replay here of Matthew Tucker trying to come into pit road. Just a lot going on. Looks like, yeah, Matthew Tucker just took too much apron, really hit the back end of that car pretty hard in that division for getting in the garage. But I think Matthew Tucker trying to surprise the field by going to pit road so late, and I think he cost himself more than anything. But not a whole lot of takers there. It only looked like Tucker and a few cars behind him actually took tires in this pit stop. So it's going to be interesting to see how this restart plays off.
It will be interesting, and these drivers, especially who have come down pit road, that'll be an opportunity for them as we get Lucas, perhaps one of your longer green flag runs. That would be a big tire advantage to have tires that are about 10 laps younger than your opponents.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're talking about how young these tires are, I think having about 14 lap old tires is probably enough to get you off that starting line. But seeing probably those few takers coming straight down to pit road, they're gonna have this fresh layer of rubber just ready to pounce onto that inside line as we're getting ready double file for the restart.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
As we come back, it's going to be an opportunity for those cars who have just taken rubber to get down, get in front quickly, and see if they can compete.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting here, a mix of old and new tires. I think we talked before the race started that after about 14, 15 laps, you're going to be about a second and a half down on your fresh tire lap time. But we've also talked about how difficult it is to control these cars on new tires. So I think it's going to be a sketchy few laps for some of these guys on new tires, but I'm sure that they'll get through and then they'll start taking advantage of that new rubber.
Yeah, once you get on that new set of rubber, you just want to be using that right away. I think that inside line is going to have a pretty fun time. Unless they still have those 14 lap old tires, they're going to be wanting to get down straight to that apron straight away. As we see Jordan getting off pretty early for the restart of this race.
A very good start from the University of Alabama at Huntsville, diving down into turn one. It's a mess behind. They tried to go 4 wide, didn't quite pan out. You see Thomas Toomey, the Cavalier, right in there, and Ethan Head, the Volunteer from Tennessee, trying to hold that bottom loop, as you say, but up near the top with the run off the top, it is Scott Ratliff who is trying so hard to take that second position away, and it looks like Ethan Head is trying to make a move to the lead. Can he make it stick? This would be Ethan Head to the point here at Homestead.
Yeah, but Thomas Toomey's going to have something to say about that. He did take fresh tires in that last stop, and he was our pole position driver of the night, fastest lap time in qualifying. So Thomas Toomey's definitely going to be trying to take advantage here quickly and make sure that he doesn't get caught up in any, he doesn't get slowed down by anybody on old tires.
Battle stacks in the pack as Matthew Tucker looks to the inside. You can see the 92 on the outside. The 8 car looks like giving way right now. Can he hold? Maybe just a little bit loose for the Tennessee machine, and second place will have to do for now. But Matthew Tucker actually making a big move on the bottom. A little bit of a slide job in front of the 747, and a little bit of a quick entry there as Scott tries to hold off Alabama at Huntsville's Jordan Reekie. But Lucas, this is what we were saying at the top of the hour, that these running positions, these finishing positions, as long as you're in the top 5, you've got a position to win right now.
And exactly that. And basically, you just want to be there at any point of the race, setting up that car nicely, whether that be having the right pit strategy or just, whatever in-car adjustments that you might be able to do, making sure that towards the end of the race that you have the best car possible. It's the middle of the portion of the race where you have that mental game thinking, okay, can I control this car, or can I, keep this well under control, as we see the 777 still trying to make a move side by side coming towards turn 3. These battles are fine, but you still want to have that mindset of, I don't want to be too aggressive and possibly putting the car at risk for the end of the race.
Yeah, Lucas, you make a great point there about making sure you don't damage the car. We saw Matthew Tucker have some pretty big damage coming onto pit road, hitting one of those dividers in the pit wall for the garage, and he probably took his fast repair there. That was probably some pretty significant damage. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have his fast repair anymore, and if he gets into a big accident later in this race, he's going to have to, take the time to repair that. Looking further back in the field, Alex Hallinar looks like he just got past Trevor Rizzo out of University of Clemson. Hallinar, I believe, is still on old tires. I don't think he has fresh rubber like some of the drivers at the front of the field. But as I say that, looks like Thomas Toomey just set the fastest lap of the race at a 33.26 second lap. So currently has 0.3 of a second on the field right now in terms of lap time. So I think Thomas Toomey definitely stretching his legs a little bit at the front of the pack.
Yeah, especially with that fresh air, Toomey will be able to put Virginia in a really good position out front right now. You can see Ricky still trying to work on Ratliff right there, and those drivers trying to negotiate the bottom line. It may behoove them at this part of the race to kind of work together a little bit, nose to tail, or maybe a half-second gap or so between those cars. But Jordan Ricky having none of that and trying to get that car down to the white line, see if he can get some grip, some forward bite off these corners and get a little bit of a run off these corners. But yeah, I don't think that it's going to be that situation for the 92 car right there. You can see that Toomey has taken, in fact, 2 pit stops, it looks like, for Thomas Toomey. Everybody else on 0 or 1, but Matthew Tucker, we saw, took those tires, as did Alex Hallinar, who I thought Hallinar might be having that Binghamton machine a little bit further up at this point. But again, this early in the race, probably no need to worry right now. But I'll tell you who's down there a little bit. Andrew Burrell came to pit road, and he's actually scored 2 laps down right now, and he will be looking to get waved around a couple times or have the lucky dog. He is the first car more than 1 lap down.
Okay, it looks like Jordan Ricky just got to move down on the inside in turn 3 on Scott Ratliff, but Scott's not going to have any of that. He's going to be coming back at Jordan Ricky, but looks like he doesn't get the run out of turn 4 he wanted, and he's going to have to stick behind just a couple more corners, but Jordan Ricky getting that move done for 4th position.
And itself, that move was a pretty nice one, just having that run out on the exit of 4 and just using that slipstream of the 747, making sure that he can use that slipstream to his advantage, slide on by, and then coming into turn 1, he'll have the position right away. But at this point, I'm thinking, well, they've already had their new tires. Some of these guys are still having old, and it's probably one of the biggest points that we're going to make about this race, is now we're probably, 24, so almost probably a third of the way there. Now you want to start thinking about when are you going to make those green flag stops, and this probably might equal the previous green flag run that we had since the start of the race. And so now you're thinking about the balance between aggression and preserving those tires.
No, that's definitely a good point. And the fuel window for these guys, I don't think they're going to be able to make it to the end of the race after stopping on lap 15. So it's going to be an interesting decision to see what laps some of these guys come down to pit road. I think the guys who took tires earlier are definitely licking their chops a little bit because they can go a little bit longer. I think they're going to be able to try and stretch this out and hope for a caution, maybe put a few cars a lap or 2 down if they can.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Ooh, as Jordan nearly slides up all the way to Alex Hallinar, just trying to survive the race, already crowned as the champion, so might as well turn up some laps and see what he can do in this race. He's making another move too. Ethan ahead, he's just blowing by these guys already.
Yeah, Alex Hallinar, that last lap, I had a 33.9. The 2 cars he just passed, Jordan Ricky and Ethan Head, both were in the 34s, so he's got a couple tenths per lap on those cars. So Alex Hallinar might be playing the long game here and trying to put in some tire saving strategy. Look back, it looks like Trevor Rizzo on the outside of Jonathan Appleton. These 2 newcomers of the series, looks like maybe Rizzo has some damage, some sparks coming out from the bottom of his car, but Rizzo's going to be going around the outside here in turns 1 and 2. Gets the move done and out of the corner, but good racing between those 2 newcomers. Not quite near the front of the pack, but I think these 2 are definitely getting good experience and looking forward to racing more in the future as we go back to the front where Ethan Head and Jordan Ricky are battling it out now.
Yeah, Ethan Head trying to work that outside and may have used up a little bit, at least even if not used up, gotten a little bit warm, those tires, while he was trying to work around Alex Hallinar. And so those 2 drivers have an opportunity. In fact, you can also see in your shot Pittsburgh University and ECU, the Rams. That's Cody Fadenauer trying to stay in front of Scott Ratliff. 2 veterans there trying to make it work through turns 3 and 4. Maybe some internet questions. We know that is going to be courtesy of Starlink for that Chevy Camaro from VCU right there. But nonetheless, those drivers making their way another lap and confirmed 28 laps down of 75. And so these drivers certainly trying to figure out what they have right now. And Scott Ratliff looking content right now just to ride and catch the slipstream there, as you mentioned, Lucas. Jordan Rickey now and the University of Tennessee still online, going ahead. But I'm telling you what I'm watching, guys, is that gap from Alex Hallinar to Thomas Toomey. That's third place to first place. And Matthew Tucker is in the middle of that, and those top three all have fresh tires. And I am watching that gap right about 8.5 seconds right now between Hallinar and Toomey.
Probably with Toomey's tires, he can get that little bit more tighter line as opposed to Alex Hallinar, who's probably had a lot older tires. Probably want to be using that outside line. Use still the momentum, but you're still gonna not have that same distance coverage as Toomey over here. He's just running away with it per lap.
No, yeah, guys, you mentioned that Hallinar trying to run down Toomey, but I think Hallinar, he might be struggling with a little bit of tire wear right now, because that last lap by, Thomas Toomey and Matthew Tucker both ran pretty similar lap times, 34.05-ish for both of them. Alex Hallinar ran at 34.46, so about a half a second slower almost for Alex Hallinar, so he might be getting into a little bit of tire wear trouble now.
Yeah, and that gap is opening up. It was 8.2, then 8.4, then 8.6, and now has actually jumped up over 9 seconds. A little bit over 9 seconds, the gap from Toomey to Hallinar. I'll tell you what hasn't changed. About 3.2, 3.3. Matthew Tucker hanging right there with Thomas Toomey with the fresh set of tires down on pit road. So riding on board, though, with Jordan Rickey has again given that position back to Ethan Head in that 8 machine. Ethan Head going to be a little bit further down the road, but I think those two drivers are content to kind of be in proximity all night long, and we'll see if they have an opportunity to duke it out there towards the end, but a little bit further back. Coming back in that 88 machine, Clemson Andrew Burrell. He's going to try and see if he can make a good showing. I don't know, guys, if he should expect to get his lap back under green, but should there be a yellow, he'll get at least one back. And you can certainly see right there the VCU machine continuing to work on its internet capabilities. But those are the perks of sim racing, and the 88 machine diving down in the corner, actually under a little bit of fire now. Jordan Rickey. Lucas?
Yeah, and I think probably what they could be doing right now is just sticking to each other's line. Andrew Burrell could also help out with that. Probably might get his lap back. We'll see. But as we see him move down by Jordan Rickey. Complete move. It's still, yep, just a bit of connection issues by the, Cody right there. Oh, and he's completely disappeared from me. And he's back.
Yeah, that's Fadenauer trying to work out where he is on track, his competitors as well. But we'll see with new tires if Andrew Burrell in that 88 Clemson machine can work underneath the Alabama and Huntsville machine, grabbing a little bit of that apron. Don't know if he was trying to do that. That'll be a little bit of a setback. But I'll tell you what, these drivers head. Fadenauer, Rickey going to make up the midfield right now. That gap continuing to increase. Alex Hallinar, 9.3 seconds off of Thomas Toomey. Actually, add a second to the last gap. Toomey to Tucker now was 3.3, is now 4.1 seconds, actually 4.4 seconds according to your scoring tower. And so, guys, as this race shakes out, I think that that Virginia Cavalier is learning how to conserve those tires around this Homestead Speedway.
Yeah, as you say that, another Virginia College VCU under fire from Jordan Rickey again. I think these two have been going back and forth. I think Badenhauer up in the wall a little bit in turns 1 and 2, trying to ride that high line that is made so famous around here, but just can't quite get the run off the corner. Jordan Rickey, he's going to have to settle back down. It looks like Andrew Burrell trying to get a position back here, trying to see if he can race with some guys, but it's going to be difficult for Burrell because he is a lap down, or multiple laps down at this point, but you know that doesn't mean he still can't race these drivers and try to get his lap back. Obviously, you want to be as gentlemanly as possible when your lap's down, but no reason why you couldn't try to race some of these guys as long as you don't wreck them.
Yeah, that's one of the things between road racing and over racing. For those who don't know, for over racing, even if you're possibly laps out, as we said, a little bit of contact between Scott and Jordan. Still running safe though, but back to my point on the difference between oval and road racing when it comes to blue flags or having people laps down. For road racing, it's typically much more respectful if you have the guy who's multiple laps down jump, go out of the way or keep their line and have the faster driver go to their outside or make the move clean. But for oval racing, the key there is to stay, or at least try to stay on that lead lap in case you have that lucky caution or in case you have that lucky run where you can start passing everyone. You still want to be on that same lap as everybody else.
Yeah, Lucas, as you say that, looks like our leader, Thomas Toomey, has come into the pits. He looked like he had a little bit of damage on his front right, so maybe he was scraping the wall a little bit. But behind him, Scott Ratliff also joined the pit party. But Thomas Toomey is the first of the runners to make a green flag stop. He probably will stay on the lead lap, but we'll have to see where he cycles out. But as Thomas Toomey came down to pit road, looks like that brought a whole lot of other people. Cody Fadenhauer, Jordan Rickey, Jonathan Appleton, all down to pit road now because our leader, Thomas Toomey, decided to start a bit of a party on pit road.
Actually, you saying that, Jonathan Appleton actually had a little bit of an accident coming down a pit road.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a replay of that shortly, but a lot of your lead lap drivers now, I think it looks like Thomas Toomey is a lap down currently, but leader's going to be cycling to pit road soon. Ethan Head comes to pit road now out of the third position. So that pretty much just leaves Trevor Rizzo, Alex Hallinar, and Matthew Tucker as the three drivers who have yet to come to pit road this race so far. We'll see if we can get a replay of what happened to Jonathan Appleton on pit road here. Yeah, it looks like maybe he spun it onto pit road and then towed his way into the pit box, but unfortunate break for Appleton. He was running a pretty solid race, but Hallinar and Tucker still out on track right now. They're definitely going to be undercut most likely by some of the drivers behind them if they didn't have the gap they were hoping. Maybe they're just trying to lead some laps here tonight, get their name on the laps led leaderboard.
Always a possibility. Those two staying out and being able to finally see what clean air like, especially Alex Hallinar. He's got a little bit of racing room in front of him. Not sure if we should expect him to really catch Tucker all that much, but it'll be an opportunity to see what life is like with a clean track out in front. Going back now, it looks actually like Hogarth and Brungus, so the University of Lynchburg, starting up front in this one, but looks like is out in 11th position right now. You mentioned Jonathan Appleton did come in and grab just that garage entry in the pit wall, so not a good spot, and used his fast repair. And you mentioned it again, Lucas. I don't know if Thomas Toomey intended, as we see the difference between new tires and old tires or semi-old tires. I don't know if he and Trevor Rizzo is in for his green flag stop in that 12 machine. He'll get service on that car, but Thomas Toomey not really trying to start any pit sequence. Got into the turn 2 wall. You saw the scrapes and fenders on his car as he came down pit road. Was able to take that fast repair. So nonetheless, forcing the hand of his competitors as these drivers think that this race could stay green and didn't want to be left behind. So everybody, with the exception of Tucker and Hallinar from Jacksonville State, as well as Binghamton University, those two drivers staying out. And Trevor Rizzo right now trying to get some service down on pit road. And Andrew Burrell still 2 laps down, so he did take part in that pit sequence. But Thomas Toomey, as we are back around being scored, finds himself 1 lap down in 3rd place. And should Tucker and Hallinar pit, I think that would be the leadership back to Thomas Toomey. University of Virginia. Lucas?
Yeah, and now at this point of the race, and especially on probably the mind of Toomey here, he's just going to be wanting to get that car towards the end of the race. Yes, he might see that number as a lap down, but Tucker and Hallinar, they're still yet to pit. So that little, as there's a little move coming by, trying to unlap himself already even before Matthew Tucker gets into the pit. So trying to get that aggressiveness already with his new tires and make sure that gap increases probably before he hit his first green flag pit.
Yeah, Josh, you mentioned Thomas Toomey did scrape the outside wall a little bit in one of the corners, and I think that's what caused him to start the pit cycles. But, pit lap for Thomas Toomey was only on lap 36, so it wasn't quite halfway, but definitely wasn't excessively early compared to where we expected the leaders to stop. Right around the midway point, especially if you didn't take tires earlier on. But I think Thomas Toomey is now out of tires. So I think if this lap or if this race goes green the rest of the way, Thomas Toomey's in the driver's seat. But a late race caution could put Thomas under pressure from some of the drivers who have saved up their extra set of tires for the race tonight.
That is certainly worth noting because we know that these races can come down to a late race caution, and in any event that there's a restart, it would be Thomas Toomey who couldn't be able to get going from the pole. A lot of potential for wheel spin, especially if we have that event about 20 or so laps from now. And so certainly an opportunity for danger. So Thomas Toomey's best case scenario, I think, is that this race stays green to the end. Certainly a big ask as we follow back on with Pittsburgh State's Scott Ratliff. He's working through turns 1 and 2, but Alex Hallinar doing the same thing. He's trying to make his way down the backstretch. That 57 machine is going to be closing in just very slightly. Was 5 seconds. Now it's about 4.3 to Matthew Tucker. And we know Alex Hallinar has become a little bit educated on the tires of iRacing. Richmond, you guys mentioned, he tried to take his tires the full distance. Didn't quite make it. Was about 4 laps short or so on tires, but then was successful at Auto Club. Was able to conserve those tires. Helped a little bit by the track surface as well. And so, guys, I'm not too surprised. He's here. He's trying to conserve these tires. You can see, in fact, that right now that gap down to about 3.6. So maybe a little bit of a slip for Matthew Tucker off camera. But nonetheless, guys, Binghamton University moving forward right now.
No, yeah, you said it, Josh. I think I'm not sure if it's tire wear or if it's just a slip up from Matthew Tucker, excuse me. But that last lap by Alex Hallinar ran a 35.3. Matthew Tucker was about 4/10 slower with a 35.7. So I think tire wear is starting to play a major factor, or maybe Matthew Tucker's just trying to save a little bit more fuel than Hallinar right now. But that gap now closing in on under 3 seconds for Hallinar, as I think Thomas Toomey is probably getting a little bit nervous right now because if a caution comes out, not only does he not have tires, but the 2 drivers in front of him, they are going to have fresh tires, and they're going to be able to fuel up to the end of this race. But I think given how spread out the field is right now, Thomas Toomey is probably not the most concerned that he could be.
No, I don't think so. And I'll tell you what I do see. The first time on camera, Matthew Tucker was in the wall just a little bit and very wiggly off of turn 4 right there. But speaking of come on off turn 2, I think right there is a gaggle of cars. Tennessee trying to chase down Clemson, and wow, he beat VCU up on the outside. Meanwhile, the University of Alabama at Huntsville looks on. That foursome is trying to play nicely together but get all the advantage they can. You can see the 8 car of Ethan Head right there trying to do his best to stay in position, but yeah, the apron not so favorable. Actually, he's got to defend now from Alabama and Huntsville on the outside. Could it be 3 wide? Down through the center of turn 2. It looks like maybe the 92 thinks a little bit better of it, falls back in line. Ethan Head's going to win this one, but looks like the VCU Rams are going to stay in front for the time being. Actually, Andrew Burrell, a little bit slow. Is Burrell off the pace?
Yeah, Burrell hasn't pitted yet. I think he's still trying to hope to get a lap back, so I think Burrell is... Maybe he's out of fuel, maybe he ran it dry in that fuel tank, but looks like Ethan Head here is going to be getting around the inside of Cody Fadenhauer going into turn 1. Ethan Head trying to use that inside line to his advantage, taking the shortest way around the track possible, as Cody Fadenhauer does the exact opposite, using all the momentum on the outside of turn 2, trying to get the run, but Ethan Head slides up, takes the position, and moves into 5th place right now, but Jordan Rickey is not going to let that slide, as he's currently a little bit faster than the car he's around, trying to get past these guys quickly and carefully, as he's on the inside of Fadenhauer through turns 3 and 4 right now.
Through turns 3 and 4. That's going to be the University of Alabama at Huntsville back in front of the 804 machine, and so able to negotiate that little deal there. And I wonder if that's going to be the 804 machine having used up a little bit of the tires, or having them a little bit hot right now. But I tell you who the winner of that exchange was. It was the University of Tennessee and UTK Esports Ethan Head. That volunteer is up at the 5th position right now. And actually, Scott Ratliff, it looks like, guys, has unlapped himself, has made his way around Matthew Tucker. So a couple things we can see is that Tucker and Hallinar are both starting to fall off with the tire wear. And I'll tell you what, Thomas Toomey, that gap rapidly dropping from 25 to 20 to now 17 seconds. all things equal, guys, I think Thomas Toomey has a chance to get there. However, we know that sometimes all things don't turn out, and we'll see if there's a late race caution and what may help or hurt the Virginia driver as we get closer to the end of this one. But back on track, we can see this is the tightest battle right now. The 92 and the 8, Lucas, trying to battle everything out as they come into the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, and just like what I said before the race started, we're going to see a little bit of that desperateness starting to kick in, as we saw a little bit with Ethan Head trying to make up those positions, even going 3 wide towards turn 1 and through turn 1. But a little bit of that battle, Andrew Burrell started to fall back a bit, but that's going to be fine. Still hoping to see if he can get back up to pace. And now we see that number 8 Tennessee car still about to go side by side with the car behind going through turn 1. There's going to be a little bit of slipstream every time they head to that straight, and I think when that battle heads towards the straightaways, you're going to be trying to stay in that slipstream as long as it can, or possibly even pick up from a slipstream from Alex Hallinar that just entered the party.
Yeah, Alex Hallinar still in the lead lap. Ethan Head and Jordan Ricky are going to try to unlap themselves here as Ethan Head goes to the bottom of the track, gets his lap back as Alex Hallinar is way up the track there trying to ride that wall, but he's not going to fight that one too hard as his battles with Thomas Toomey, not quite these guys who are a few positions back from them, as we still look Jordan Ricky on the inside here of Alex Hallinar. He couldn't quite clear him going into turn 1. Alex Hallinar just having too much speed off the top of the corner, but he should get the move done out of turn 2.
Now my question is, for these 2 leaders, Tucker and Hallinar, we've mentioned that their fuel tanks won't make it to the finish at the current state?
I think it's going to be tight, to be honest, but I think they're more worried about Thomas Toomey at this point more than their fuel situation, because that last lap by Thomas Toomey 34.4, Alex Hallinar and Tucker were both running 35.5, so second a lap quicker Thomas Toomey. At this rate, he's going to be to the lead before the end of this race.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with that from what we are seeing in the gaps. 19 laps to go, and I'll tell you what, Matthew Tucker would love this thing to go right now. That gap between Tucker and Hallinar is about stabilized. In fact, the 57 up in the wall just a little bit. That gap now growing between Tucker and Hallinar. So both the 57 and the 777 have been guys getting their money's worth out of their tires. Both those cars have been wiggling. Those drivers have their hands full. Thomas Toomey in a little better position, and Scott Ratliff making a really good showing for Pittsburgh State, as you see another bit of wall for the 777. But very competitive between those two, and a little bit of Clemson and Clemson. The 12 car, Trevor Rizzo, making his way past Andrew Burrell. Not quite for position, but those teammates able to work well together. Jordan Ricky actually trying to go to the inside of Ethan Head right here, down into turn 1.
Yeah, I think Jordan Ricky's been trying to set this move up for a little bit, as he looks like he's going to try to pull a little bit of a slide job on Ethan Head here. Gets it done on the exit of turn 2. Really good job from him, sliding up and taking that line away from Ethan Head. But yeah, I think Jordan Ricky got a little bit unsettled by trying to unlap Alex Hallinar earlier. I think that cost him a little bit of lap time. So Ricky's just surely but slowly getting back up to the back of Ethan Head. Now it looks like they're both going to try to get their lap back and put themselves in the lead lap in case there's a late race caution, and put themselves in a good position for the end of this race.
That would be hugely beneficial if those two can get their lap back. In fact, a little bit opportunistic from the 8th there. The Volunteer is going to try to work around on the outside. It's worth noting right now, we just said the 747 had a great run going, but sources say he's running out of fuel. Not enough fuel to get the 16 remaining laps done. Looks like the 777, a hefty move down to the inside. The 8 will not appreciate that. Ethan Head trying to make his way around the 777. And yeah, I don't know if maybe Tucker felt that he needed to place that block just to get a run off the quarter. I know that car is a handful, but yeah, that was going to be a battle on pause between the 8 and the 92, and the advantage right now is going to go to Alabama at Huntsville, but we also now have to keep an eye on 24 seconds off the lead. Scott Ratliff, how can he make it to the end, and will he make another stop down pit road?
No, I think that's really surprising to hear, to be honest, because Ratliff came down the same time as Toomey. So unless Ratliff just didn't get his fuel calculations right, he's definitely going to be Thomas Toomey might have something to worry about then if his fuel calculations aren't right. But I definitely think it should be interesting. I think Ratliff has had a bit of a lonely race, so we'll see what he can do if he can pull out some massive fuel saving. But Thomas
Yeah, in the battle
Toomey,
for second right now, Thomas Toomey just moving forward ahead of Alex Hallinar. He has completed the pass going into turn 1, scooted by, and that's going to be just tires for that machine there. Nothing worried. So with 14 to go, guys, Matthew Tucker, I don't know what you do. Maybe you come down, get tires, splash it off, try and put yourself in position for a yellow, because right now Matthew Tucker is not winning this race.
Speaking
And
of
just
yellows,
as we say that, we have our yellow flag. Nothing ever stays out. We'll have to see how iRacing scores those two. I think that Cody Fadenhauer is looking around. I wonder if he came together with Andrew Burrell. But
I was looking at Trevor Rizzo, actually, and he, when I came back to him, he was a bit broadside on the back straight towards 3 and just leaving a bit loose. I wonder what happened there.
yeah, I'm not really sure what happened. I think if it was Cody Fadenhauer who brought out the crash, then I think his connection certainly didn't help us see it. But Trevor Rizzo was on the apron on the backstretch. I don't know if that's what caused the caution or what, because I think Rizzo and Fadenhauer crashed, at least according to iRacing, pretty close to each other. So I think this yellow flag is the last thing Thomas Toomey wanted to see, because he doesn't have any tires left. Tucker and Hallinar are both licking their lips, thinking, oh, we can pit, we can get fuel in for the end of this race. And I think Ratliff also, he's pretty excited because he didn't have enough fuel to finish this race. So it's going to be an interesting pit road decision here for a lot of these drivers.
it will be. And to confirm, Trevor Rizzo was loose on the backside coming off turn 2, had a self-spin that resulted in, I believe, our second caution of the evening. You see that on your screen. And so these drivers now, this is what Thomas Toomey didn't quite need. He does not have tires. Matt, according to your calculations, looks like he's going to come down for fuel. Now it'll be a no tire stop, so you'd imagine Thomas Toomey would be in position on the front, but getting a little bit of jump is not going to help when there's 9 laps to go and fresh tires behind you. So I'm not sure if I'd rather be Thomas Toomey or Hallinar or Tucker right now, guys. And there's a lot of other cars up on the lead lap. Contact actually getting into the box. That's going to be a little bit of an overshoot for Hallinar and the 777. Those two going to have to wait to get service. Looks like Thomas Toomey does, in fact, have tires in that pit box. Saw that car up on the right side jack stands and now the left side jack stands. Pit crews working furiously to get those cars turned over. Thomas Toomey easily off the line and in a great position. It's going to be followed by Binghamton University's Alex Hallinar.
Yeah, you know what, Josh? It might have been earlier. I think we saw Thomas Toomey pit in that first caution around lap 15. He might have only taken fuel there and saved the tires for later in the race, which certainly is going to help his race tonight. I think maybe he did start in the pit lane, so he probably just came down to fuel since he was probably saving tires for that first stint, the first 15 laps. But I think it definitely evens up the field here. It's going to be interesting to see who does what in terms of tire wear strategy, who's going to have the best restart here, because I think we've seen all night that the leader tends to get the better restart. Taking a look back to the field, Scott Ratliff currently sitting in the 4th position in that 747 machine. He's running a great race tonight. I think that caution definitely was a bit of a lucky break for him, given his fuel situation in the remaining laps. But a great run. I think we saw him earlier saving tires, and I think saving those tires in that first stint really put him in a good position to worry about his own stuff rather than racing other drivers in the second stint. As we saw between Ethan Head and Jordan Rickey, I think them battling each other for such a long time definitely put their tires in a bad spot for that last green flag run. But all things even now as we come to the final 10 laps of this race.
Yeah, it looks like that yellow was the absolute saving for that Pittsburgh State machine, the 747. Scott Ratliff said he was coming to pits. He had to the next time by. And so very opportunistic, so no lap lost. And the 747 is going to start in the 4th position and is going to have as much opportunity as anyone. Lucas, we talked about as long as you're within about 2/10 of the leader, the car in front, you have plenty of opportunity.
Yeah, and really, you already have your eyes set on the leader. You can see them whenever they do their restarts. You're going to be able to see whatever's going to be second place reaction, and after that, you're just going to be trying to follow through your line. For me, this kind of feels like a bit of a Max Verstappen and Hamilton, but and not in the terms of the controversy within that, but in terms of how close they are and just trying to battle as we go towards the possibly last caution of this race and last restart.
Yeah, as they go 2 by 2 for this potentially last restart. I think we've seen this battle all season between Thomas Toomey and Alex Hallinar. These guys have so close in skill level and pace, and I think we saw them start from the pits this race, and I think now we're going to be able to see them race at the front with all the marbles on the line here as they come down in turn 3. Pace car has its lights off, getting ready for the restart. Should be a good one here as we go through the field. Thomas Toomey, our leader right now, but excuse me, Alex Hallinar, the leader according to the board, but I think it's just a little wonky right now. But Thomas Toomey definitely the leader. Alex Hallinar is outside. Behind him, Matthew Tucker in third. He's had a good run all night, and Scott Ratliff with a great run and a bit of a lucky break for his fuel strategy. So as the pit car gets ready to pull into pit lane, we see a little bit of jostling for position here. We're not sure quite what's going to happen as these drivers get ready to go. And Thomas Toomey gets a great restart here. Alex Hallinar caught sleeping a little bit, but Scott Ratliff right behind him also. He gets a fantastic restart. He gets to the outside of Matthew Tucker into turn 1. He's going to be in the third position as these guys tussle for position here.
Excellent jump from the 747. He's going to use that high line, try and get a little bit of a run off. Actually, looks like the 777 going to get a run down on the inside. Just had some good forward fight off that corner, but those two. But back up at the front, it is the University of Virginia trying to fend off this win. Hallinar and Toomey, we knew they were going to put on a respectful fight. That's what they're doing right here to the end. 8 to go. Drivers coming to 7 to go. This time by. You can see right there, Matthew Tucker still holding off that Pittsburgh State machine. Jacksonville State going to hold the middle line. Yeah, I think that's probably the right defense. Lucas holding it through the middle. Going to be a little bit hard for Pittsburgh State to get a run off the inside of that corner.
Yeah, as they get a bit close, that inside line, you still want to have that run out towards the outside line. And having that car directly in the middle, as we see the Pittsburgh State University car making that move complete coming into turn 3. But yeah, running that middle line allows you to kind of defend and then still keep that momentum as if you were still running that outside line.
Yeah, I think Scott Ratliff had a good run there off in turn 2. I think Tucker was also a bit high in the groove. I don't think he got the run that he wanted. He had to lift to make sure he didn't end up in that outside wall of turn 2 as they continue to go side by side. And I don't think Matthew Tucker was quite ready for the slide job there in turn 3 from Scott Ratliff, but Scott got it done and heads into third position with only 5 laps to go as they come across the stripe now.
He did get it done, and a little bit of brake application from the 777 Tucker. I'll tell you what, Ethan Head still leading the battle between Jordan and Ricky. Awesome battle that those two have had all night long between the Chargers and the Volunteers. But back up at the front, Thomas Toomey continues to lead Alex Hallinar. And guys, I don't know if Alex Hallinar has a plan. Certainly, there was enough laps at the restart if his strategy was to conserve tires for a little bit and then edge it out right at the end. But right now, you would hope to see some life with 5 to go. It's going to be 4 to go at the line. Can Thomas Toomey stay in front with the Virginia Cavaliers back home where he thinks they belong, up at the front, victory lane? And yeah, about a stabilized 0.3 of a second gap. As you can see, the 92 machine is going to go look underneath that 8 car.
Yeah, and now we can see some of that aggression start coming out. We'll see a bit of patience as we've seen from Alex Hallinar, but as we see Jordan, Ricky going down low to that low line, trying to make that run out. Beautifully done. Let's see if he can get that move out right away from the exit. Yeah, he looks clear straight away coming into turn 1. So doing that move perfectly timed, getting that run out from turn 4, and using that slipstream to his perfect ability so he can get that slipstream out.
Yeah, it was a great move there from Ricky. I think Ethan Head might have gotten a little tight on the apex there, and he just kind of washed up the track, but still fantastic by Ricky to take advantage of that situation.
A pass he had set up probably a couple laps previous to the actual event, but Toomey and Hallinar up front, that gap about 0.4. Ratliff right now starting just to pull away from Tucker. Really good battles between first and second, third and fourth, fifth and sixth. And these drivers all trying to get it played out here, but 2 to go. Guys coming to that innovated white flag lap. These drivers are going to be trying to work through turns 3 and 4, and then they're going to have one more chance around to get changes done. But I'll tell you what, there's about 2 to 3 tenths separating each car in the field here. In fact, a little bit further back for Alabama at Huntsville and the University of Tennessee. But those drivers trying to get it figured out. Back up front, the University of Virginia Med, it's going to be Thomas Toomey working his way through and trying to come off the final turn.
Yeah, absolutely. We get a look back at the field tonight from the gearbox. Thomas Toomey as he heads into turn 3 and 4. Thomas, started from the pit lane, but he's done a great job of working his way through the field, played the strategy absolutely perfectly, and he's going to come across the line now to be your Race 6 winner here at Homestead Miami Speedway in the CiL Prospect Series. Alex Hallinar follows him up in second position, and Scott Ratliff, with this very, very strong run to third tonight, rounds out your top 3.
Yeah, really competitive run from these drivers, and it looks like that in the end, the University of Alabama at Huntsville's Jordan Rickey got ahead of Ethan Head from UTK Esports in that University of Tennessee. Actually, very close to the end. Also, Scott Ratliff, as you said, really, really good run up in front of Matthew Tucker. But up and down the scoring pylon, had some fantastic battles, Lucas. These drivers able to compete well. And I'll tell you what, Homestead Miami Speedway producing the races that keeps us coming back. Really exciting to watch.
Yeah, and exactly what I was hoping for coming to Homestead. With the league races I've had and some of the officials that I think most of us have had throughout Homestead, we've seen these pretty epic and hard-fought races, and especially when it comes down to pit strategy. I think Thomas Toomey had it down almost perfectly. There was a little bit of a scare when it came down to whether or not we'll have that final yellow flag, but honestly, when it comes to strategy, Toomey, in my opinion, just had it down well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Toomey.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say Alex Hallinar. We can't forget him. He is our Prospect Series champion for this season. Ran a great season. Pretty much every race almost, he was up there at the front fighting for wins. So good to see him celebrating out there with our race winner, Thomas Toomey. I'm sure we'll get to hear from both of them very shortly as they give each other a little bit of a congratulations.
And I'll tell you another good run from Jacksonville State University's Matthew Tucker. That individual able to really educate, help out the drivers around him, and no exception tonight. But got a little bit of spotlight with some really good competition and showed some very good driving prowess. So a couple of those guys doing well. And Lucas, I think overall, I think this makes me really excited to see tomorrow night, to see the Premier Series as we see these drivers. Toomey, Hallinar, Ethan Head being able to come in. They'll compete and mix it up with the Premier Series drivers with a little bit of practice under their belts and understanding how these cars move around and what drivers' tendencies and strategies might be tomorrow.
Yeah, and these races, whenever it comes to having a pre-race or having a series that comes before the main race, it builds that excitement. There's multiple races that some of us have been to, or probably some leagues that do those little smaller series that then build up to the main series that makes this grand show. And so, if that means Alex Hallinar and a few other drivers coming up towards with these Premier drivers and towards the Premier show, I think it's going to be a pretty fun night.
I concur as we continue to go ahead and let our crew wrangle up the excited individuals who have had a really good showing here tonight. Man, I think the biggest thing here that stands out from the track standpoint is the number of lines, and I think that I was a little bit off, Lucas, at the top of the show. I was going to try and put my car in the middle most of the night, but we saw, to your correct point, that the beginning of the run, first 3 to 5 laps, that bottom side really had an advantage, and then once those tires started to wear, that was where the middle kind of came in. A couple times, drivers really fast, even up top. I go back to Nathan Brungett from Lynchburg, University of Lynchburg, making a really good show early on, trying to work that high line and making up some ground. but I think that it almost reminds me of Atlanta in just how racy and how many options there are to get around. But it's going to be something that drivers need to pay attention to as as where they are going in the run and just how much they want to conserve their tires in the runs tomorrow night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think one of the main people to actually kind of do that well, and honestly, I thought that might be able to do a bit of work, but hey, as we race, there's always going to be lessons to hold. I think Matthew Tucker was brave enough to keep going on that bottom line and hold that lead for so long, even with those old tires. And I think these are just going to be lessons that we're going to be going to other seasons and towards the Premier race tomorrow.
yeah, Lucas, that's absolutely right. And I think now we do have a chance to interview some of our top three finishers tonight. So joining us in the booth now, it's Thomas Toomey out of the University of Virginia, our race winner. Thomas, firstly, congratulations on the race win. Talk us through your strategy and trying to get back to the field after your green flag pit stop.
Yeah, that was a great race. My strategy was initially to split the race in half or go a little bit longer on the first run. We got the early caution, which kind of threw things off. And then after my green flag stop, or before, I actually hit the wall a little bit and got some damage about halfway through. So I'm like, well, I guess that's my sign to go pit. So then I got tires, and once I got back in the lead lap and there was no caution, I know I was safe from there. And then we had the caution at the end, and I knew either way, caution or no caution, that we had an extra set of tires to pit if we needed to, or we could go all the way.
Yeah, and I'd like to follow up with that green flag pit stop. Some of us were even thinking that there might have been a little bit of second thoughts, saying that if possibly some other drivers had an extra set of tires, they might be able to do it. But what were your thoughts coming towards that final few laps and thinking that I can actually make this gap stay where it is?
Oh, towards you're saying the last 10 laps of the race?
Yeah, that those last 10 laps. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew once everyone was on equal tires, I had a decently quick qualifying lap and knew the right settings to change in terms of brake bias to make the car turn early. And I was just using as much tire as I could, being we only had 12 laps to go or so.
Thomas, congratulations, man, on your run and for the University of Virginia up front again, and reminded us a little bit of the tire wear from Richmond, where you were able to take a pit, but made back all your time and then some. Same thing here tonight. You mentioned it a little bit, but as you go into tomorrow night without giving away all your secrets to your competitors, are you going to have a similar strategy where you try and position your car to accept a late race yellow, or do you have a strategy for tomorrow?
I think for tomorrow, it's going to be to get out front early and be prepared for the cautions and just to not use too much tire and be able to put out good lap times regardless of where we are in the tire stint.
Awesome. It sounds like a plan. Your plan worked tonight. Is there anybody else that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just want to give out shout out to Virginia Motorsports and you guys for putting on a great broadcast. It's been fun.
All right. Well, congratulations again, Thomas. Thanks and enjoy your evening.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Always great to see that having a beautiful drive and having just a strategy workout looked really, really good for Toomey to bring it home towards that finish. But we will now bring our champion of the Prospect Series for the CIL League, especially for Oval, Alex Hallinar. How are you, man?
Doing awesome, man. How you doing?
We're all doing great in the booth, and we're coming to the end of the race, seeing you become P2, and also coming into this race as the champion. What were your main goals and thoughts coming into the beginning of this race?
My main goal was to have fun and do a sick burnout at the end, which I think I did with the help of Thomas Toomey. That was really it. I didn't really have much practice. I'll do some more practice for tomorrow, but this was really big practice for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations on a stellar evening and a stellar season. It's not easy to put the pieces together, but you got six of them, all six races. Going into tonight, I mean, how does this track race, and what does it tell you about tomorrow night? We asked your pal Thomas the same thing, but does this change anything that you're thinking about for tonight, or can you stick to your initial game plan?
Well, I didn't really have a game plan coming in tonight. I literally did maybe 4 laps of practice before I qualified, so my goal was to learn during the race, and I was able to get the bottom rolling at the end. So I'll be able to. Tomorrow I'll definitely get the bottom rolling, and just kind of go from there. I don't know. I honestly, I was thinking of not showing up tonight just to watch the Better Call Saul episode at 9 o'clock instead of watching the 10 showing. And I was like, you know what? I'll do some sick donuts, get the interview, and celebrate my championship tonight.
Well, congratulations once again on the championship. We did see you, you kind of did take your green flag stint towards the end there pretty long. Do you have a strategy in mind there of hoping maybe you could put Thomas Toomey or a couple other drivers a lap down if a caution did come out? Or were you just riding it out and hoping for whatever happens?
You know what? I was referencing the great Richmond race where I never took tires. I did pit during that caution, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go as long as I can. I had like half a lap. I was only like half a lap field to the good. Why not? See how I do. Then I realized, oh, if I stick to the strategy, I'm not gonna be able to do sick burnouts at the end. Luckily, that caution came out at the end, and not only was I able to get a P2 and get some more uh, more experience to put in the notebook for tomorrow. I was able to put some fuel in it. That way I could do my sick burnouts at the end.
Well, Alex, I think we all definitely enjoyed your burnouts and your celebrations with Toomey at the end of the race. Before we send you on your way, anybody you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank my dad. He may or may not be watching. I don't know if at this point, but yeah, him. I want to thank you guys for putting on a really great season. This is like the first, the summer series is like the first, full season I've done with you guys. I think I ran like a one-off Las Vegas prospect race sometime last year, but this was like my first, season really with you guys, and it was really fun to be out here, have some fun, meet some great people, and ultimately win a championship.
Well, Alex, thanks once again, and congratulations on the Prospect Series championship this season.
Thanks.
And that was Alex Hallinar, our season 5 champion, also our race runner up race runner up this evening. Last we saw a lot of good racing up at the front, and I think we saw a couple of new faces up at the front tonight. And I think one of the faces that we maybe weren't expecting to see at the start of the race get their way towards the front of the field was our third place finisher in the evening, Scott Ratliff, out of the Pittsburgh State University machine.
Hello.
Welcome, Scott.
I'm excited to be here. My first podium, first interview. It's a great day.
It is a great day. Congratulations, man. Awesome run. Tell us what you learned about the track and what changed in the environment over the course of the race? It wasn't too long at 75 laps, but we did see some of the cars move from the top to the bottom to the top again.
I learned that I cannot run the top line to save my soul. After that first caution, I was trying a couple different lines just to see if I can get caught up, and I lost some pretty significant ground. Which kind of led to my alternate pit strategy. But after that pit stop and then that second caution, I was able to hook the bottom real well. Even on that last short run, I was actually able to hook my left front tire like on the apron mid corner, and I was making some pretty decent gains on Alex in front of me.
Yeah, Scott, we saw you make some great moves towards the start of that race, especially some of the guys around you, Ethan Head, Jordan Ricky. Were you saving tires for that first stint, hoping that you could put yourself in a better tire position than some of the guys around you and take advantage? And I think we saw you put yourself in a bit more of a lonely position in the second half of that race because of that strategy.
I did. I'm not going to say I did it intentionally, but I think subconsciously I was just taking it easy, like I usually do in the start of these races. And about lap 8 or 10, my tires really kicked on. I was able to make some of those real quick passes and start catching up to those leaders. And yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, and coming towards that final green flag run, we some of us were wondering, how did it feel as you tried to make that move all the way up to the podium, and what was kind of the strategy after making that successful pass?
I I have no idea that so that when I pitted about halfway, I made the mistake of not fueling, um, because my iRacing spotter told me that you're good on fuel at the beginning of the race. Um, and so I was really happy to see that caution with about 10 to go. And once I got past Matthew, just had my eyes forward, and I knew they were both very strong competitors. I knew they'd been faster than me the entire race, but um, I had nothing to lose. So I was going to try everything I could to get up there to them, and it got me to third.
Always nice to get that final spot on the podium, and hey, finally here on the podium, getting those first interviews down. But would there be anyone you'd like to shout out or say thank you to before we send you off?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for putting on this broadcast, the guys down in the Discord. And shout out to the scholarship that was supposed to be in my car this week. Hover with Hargis, an old college buddy of mine, has put together a kind of scholarship fund for uh, women trying to get into aviation. Um, so they'll be on my car tomorrow, but I want to give a shout out to them. It's a great thing that she's doing with that program. I'm hoping to hoping to see it grow.
Well, Scott, that's
Thank
just
you.
absolutely fantastic to hear. Sorry, Lucas, anything you want to add?
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
But Scott, congratulations on the third place tonight. It's always great to see you running towards the front. Fantastic run for me tonight, and hope you have a good evening.
You guys as well. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, and that was our third place finisher for the evening, Scott Ratliff. Guys, what do you guys think of that race? I think that was pretty exciting throughout the field, a lot of different strategies, and pretty entertaining throughout the race.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've said everything that that I've learned and considered, and I think in conclusion, guys, very excited for what we're going to see tomorrow night.
Yeah, and going back to my points earlier at the beginning of the race, trying to see those different strategies, it really went to make such a great race. Seeing people running those multiple lines, that was my big idea, hoping to see coming to Homestead, and gladly that's what we gave. That's what we got, and that's what we all received to make some of those great battles, even for the lead and for some of the podium positions as well.
Yeah, I think we definitely saw a lot of good racing in mid pack, especially on fresh tires. But I think we saw some of the skill differences between these drivers and where they're good and where they're bad kind of get accentuated really when the tire wear started to kick in. Who could save their tires? Who could maybe fuel save a little bit? But overall, I think it was a great race tonight, and I'm definitely looking forward to racing in it tomorrow in the Premier Series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think there's
agree.
maybe definitely some notes.
The Premier Series champion crowned tomorrow. Going to be really excited. I think we're we're all chomping at the bit to see that one go down. It'll be 85 laps, a little bit longer than this current race here tomorrow night. Same time on Twitch. That's going to be just before 9 p.m. The green flag drops.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to a great race tomorrow night and hoping everyone watching tonight can join us then. But before we head off for the evening, anybody have any final thoughts they want to send out to the rest of the broadcast?
Honestly, pretty fun first broadcast for me. That was, also seeing everybody do their absolute best, putting their hard effort into it. It's pretty nice seeing on the other side of things, being as a now new broadcaster coming from a driver.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that does it pretty much for here at the CIL. On behalf of myself as well as Josh and Lucas, we'd like to thank you for watching with us tonight. Remember to tune in tomorrow night right before 9 p.m. Eastern to see the Premier Series race, 85 laps of Homestead, Miami. But for everyone here at the CIL, we thank you for watching and take it easy.